What's the best ultimate, the only single best, the absolute best choice for a single elite spec in Guild Wars 2 if you want to play every single game mode? This is the question we want to answer today. I will take a very data-driven statistical approach here, but of course the right answer to this question is always choose the one that you enjoy the most. Yes, so this video is only for people that want to get some kind of overview over all game modes, how it performs in specific situations. So with that much said, as always, special shout out to all my dear supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon. This video is dedicated to Zeros. If you want to have a more visual approach that also has some subjective takes of my personal opinion in there, be sure to check out this overall tier list that I made a few weeks ago. It's still up to date and is still my opinion. And of course, if you are a tier list enjoyer, that's way more suited to you than this video here with the statistical approach. But if you are someone that doesn't care about my personal opinion, then this video is correct for you. Now let's jump straight in and explain what I am actually doing here. So this is a video where I summarize all my tier lists and think about where did I put each spec at the current state. So in August 2025, I record this video and I try to put every single elite spec, check where I put it in specific tier lists. All the tier lists that I mention here are linked in the description down below, of course, and I will assign each spec depending on its rating in the tier list points, and I will summarize over each, so to say, tier list and give you, so to say, if you want to play every single game mode, everything there is, and want to get the most amount of value for the choice that you choose with the elite spec, then you should get the highest sum elite spec here. Hope that makes sense. So let's dive straight in and look at the statistics here. So you see here my full list of all the elite specs that we have, sorted alphabetically here on the left here, and with 6 tier lists I take into account into PvE, 1 tier list in PvP, and 2 tier lists in World vs. World. So for PvE we have solo, open world, we have DPS, we have Boon DPS and Boon Heal, which are for instance content typically, but also of course for open world meta events and stuff. And you have Celestial Heal, which is so to say your offensive healer tier list, and we have Fractal as a specific tier list as well. To not make it biased, obviously, this is 6 tier lists for PvE. I will, of course, if I look at the whole total sum, I will, of course, divide this by 6 so that it's fair and compare each game mode separately. So here see the sum for each elite spec, how much they gate. I also gave always 5 points for the highest tier and up to 0 points depending if they are not possible to fill this role, or 1 if it's the lowest tier. That's the general gist of how I rated this. For PvP, I only have the ranked tier list. That's what most people play in Guild Wars 2 PvP if you play PvP. And in World vs. World, we have a separate roaming and Circ tier list, of course. For the yellow spots that you see here, these are adjustments that I would make to my own tier lists. So I made some changes depending on where I put the spec in the last time I recorded those tier lists. Since then, I would change some stuff around. That's why they are yellow. Keep that in mind. This is just my adjustment. And other than that, this is how this works. And you can see here on the right, the overall sum would be all points just added together without any relative viewpoint. So it would only be always the absolute sum of all possible tier lists. Then if you look at the relative points, so you would just say, okay, I have so many PvE tier lists, so many PvP and World vs. World tier lists. That is the relative points that they got over the course of the all tier lists. And then the last one is the sum over with some bias. So I have here a weight bias. So because I think it is not fair to say, okay, World vs. World and PvP get each a third value where you have PvE and most people only play PvE. So I assign some values here. I say the weight bias of PvE is 50%. So PvE gets more value in terms of points, whereas World vs. World gets a little bit less and PvP gets even less. That's just my value. You could adjust it, of course, as well. Then the whole point here changes as well. This is just what I wanted to make. So I hope this now is clear. And as always, if you have any question about this, please let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you want to have this spreadsheet, you can, of course, let me know in the comments down below as well. Before I now go to the graphs and show you how it actually looks, because obviously this is just a table, I want to show you the graphs as well. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. So now, to answer your question, Zeros here, what's the best elite spec overall? We go to the graphs. So for the graphs, you can see on the left, so we order it by absolute values first. And let's check it out. What's the best elite spec in terms of absolute value? it is Mirage right now sitting at 41 points. And then we have a lot of specs that are very close together, like Chronomancer, Firebrand, Harbinger, Spec, the Tempest. All those are amazing across all game modes and very, very close in absolute points without any bias. This is like, and one of the worst specs overall is Daredevil because it doesn't fill most roles. So keep that in mind. This is just absolute points, not necessarily the most deciding factor here. But now let's take a look at the relative points. So how good are the relative elite specs? And you can see here, we get a little bit of a different thing because the relative points Blade Zone goes down because it's really bad in competitive modes. The same goes for Mechanist, but Mirage, Harbinger, Tempest, Spectre, Catalyst, Chronomancer, and even Scrapper are somewhat high again. You see the relative points for Harbinger are very high. Harbinger is really good in all game modes. So if you want to have the relative points without any bias, so each game mode is rated somewhat the same, then Harbinger goes up and is the top spec. And then if you look at my white bias, that might not be perfect for you. Just keep that in mind. This is the white bias that I think is reasonable for most people. Then let's take a look at this. And you can see Harbinger and Mirage almost the highest possible, over 4.5 relative points all the time across the board over all game modes. So it's still Mirage, Tempest, Harbinger, Spectre, Chronomancer, Catalyst are amazing across all game modes. So there is almost for each single class specific elite spec that is really, really strong across all points. So this should help you decide. I personally would say Harbinger is really, really strong together with Mirage. Those would be probably the top picks overall for all game modes if you wanted to decide what spec is currently with the current meta just the best one without any subjective takes on the class fantasy and what not. So here at the end, a big disclaimer again, this is obviously not the answer for most people. The short answer for most people is always choose the spec that you enjoy the most, that looks the prettiest, that looks the most fun to you. Choose those specs. If you have any trouble finding resources to see how those specs look, be sure to check out this video here where I showcase all elite specs and explain very shortly what they are about, and that can help you decide as a new player what class to pick. But if you are someone more of a data-driven person that wants to get the absolute best choice in the current meta, maybe this video helps you to decide, because I rate very statistically, very data-driven, of course with my own data, very nice trolling here, but still. So it should give you a very nice statement of the current state of the game and looking at all game modes where each elite specs performs really well. Hope that makes sense. This is just a very fun video about analyzing my tier lists, giving you my take where I would put it. Let me know your takes in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I hope I could help you. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks again to all my supporters. Thanks, Sirius, and I hope to see you all in the next video.